Sifu Slim here, bright and early. It's 3:50 in the morning, and I'm getting in the morning physical movement. So I wanted to tell people that I hear a lot of this talk about getting yoked. He's yoked. Look at that guy. How yoked. Now, yoked is really based on your genetics. Yeah, you can get ripped and increase your muscle size and lose fat. No matter what build you are, you can work towards that. But yoked is really the mesomorphs like Schwarzenegger who are showing that they've developed muscle. So sometimes they have big joints, big bones, and they've got big muscles on that. Famous bodybuilder Robbie Robinson had small joints and big muscles. And he said all of his kids had big butts and big muscles. So I've interviewed him for my book, The Aging Athlete, really cool guy. Robbie Robinson, bodybuilder from 60s, 70s, and the 80s, and still going down in Venice Beach, Santa Monica area. So what I want to tell you about is this whole idea about being yoked is basically because of your genetics. It's not because of how hard you're working most of the time. So I'm an ectomorph, which means thin body. Bruce Lee, Michael Jackson, Gilligan, all these people. Yes, I've developed and gotten bigger muscles. At certain times in my life, I really looked like I had some musculature, and it's a lot of work, needs a lot of sleep, and I was oftentimes clunky and exhausted. What does clunky mean? Clunky means when your joint feels like you are working too hard and that it's dysfunctional and that it's repairing. And so it's stiff and it doesn't move fluidly. Look at Djokovic in tennis, Alcaraz in tennis, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant in basketball. All that stuff takes fluidity and grace and control and athleticism. So I'm glad to see I've seen some new videos out there about the difference between bodybuilding exercises and bodybuilding look and athleticism and functionality. That's where people should have been led way back when they started this bodybuilding really excessive craze in the 70s, this whole idea of getting yoked and walking around looking like you're this giant person. The Rock, the actor, The Rock, and heavy weights, really pressing, pushing, pulling, all these things to gain size. You don't win a fight in the MMA because of size. Most of the time it's because you've got game. You know how to fight standing up, you know defense, you know grappling on the ground, and you know how to counter the opponent's strategy. Those are really good things. So I'm going to put my grippy gloves on. These are great. I say these over and over. This is one of the main parts of my workout. You put these grippy gloves on, and even before you put the grippy gloves on, you roll these things up. And you do gripping exercises from small fingers to large fingers, holding it in a pattern of not here, not like you're on a computer, but here, here, or here. Those are the positions you want. Whew. Those are the positions you want. So you squeeze these while you're going, and that builds a lot of strength, and you can feel the activity all the way up in here, and this connects your neurology to your hand. And you need that because you need strength here, and you need functionality, you need fluidity, you need athletic response from your neurology to your nerves, your musculature, and all of your tendons and ligaments and small tissue right in here. You're getting that strong. I often see people that have come back from carpal tunnel therapy, carpal tunnel surgery, and they're not doing strengthening. They're doing anti-inflammatory pills, and they're doing stretching, and they're changing the mouse pads and the supportive structures for their work on their computers, oftentimes laptops. And that's not what we need to be doing. You need to be doing strengthening that's functional before, during, and after your computer use. And you need to do this every day. You need to do this a few times per day. So there's the first little bit. I wanted to share. So this whole idea about yoked. Yoked is not necessarily functional. You want to be functional. So what does that mean? You get on an airplane. How do you feel when you get off the airplane, whether it was a 50-minute flight or a 10 or 15-hour flight? You feel the effects of the sedentary behavior. I would say that I am one of the people who spent a significant amount of time, more than most, on the idea of sedentism, non-moving versus moving. So physical activity versus sedentary behavior. So these are the things that really are the default setting. The default setting should not be getting ripped and losing weight. The default setting should be not being sedentary. That means movement. So when you get up in the morning, you've been sedentary for 6, 8, 10 hours during your rest. You have to start out with physical movement. So you can do your tennis ball rolling. So I'm at a location right now where I have friction provided by the ground. So I can put 10 or 12 tennis balls down here and do my tennis ball rolling. If they had a foam roller, I could also do that, but I'm in a hotel where there are no foam rollers. So you've got some options here. You've got the option of the treadmill, this lovely contraption, elliptical, wonderful low impact exercise, hands and arms both moving. You've got free weights, nice dumbbells. You've got a bench that can go anywhere from decline, flat to incline. Another elliptical machine. And some stationary bikes, really cool high-tech stationary bikes. And without any electric, it's all done by friction and resistance. I love these. I love the old school bikes without all of the beeping things and the digital things. You just get on and you crank this down and you increase your friction, set up your seat, you get on there, you clip in, and then you do your thing. These are great. So not being sedentary, that's the main goal of your physical activity, not being sedentary. That's the default setting. And if people change the mindset, it's a rewiring, it's a reprogramming of the mind to do this. You want to reprogram so that you're not thinking about this end result of getting ripped, getting yoked, losing weight. You're thinking about physical movement throughout the day, especially in the morning when you've got nothing in your stomach, no coffee, no anything, just water. So I've got hot water in my kombucha bottle right now, and I'm in Tijuana where the water out of the pipes for people who are not used to it, maybe even people who are used to it, is not good for you. So I've got hot water in here, really good for the system. While you're eating, hot water is really good, flushes things through. Cold water is constricting. You know what happens when you put grease and cold water together? Things clog up. You don't want that. You want hot water. Think of the Asian people and Indian people who use hot when they do soup, when they do tea, when they do things like this. Get that hot water and use that for your eating and for your morning activity and your evening activity as well. Hot water. English people do tea time. I think it's 4 in the afternoon. Really helpful for your daily activity, and it's good to have that calming at the end of your workday or almost at the end of your workday, that calming time of having a little tea and letting that get into your system. There's all kinds of different plants and herbs and roots that people use in their tea. Wonderful ideas, spices, all these things are great. So I'm going to do a little workout. I wanted to share one little tip. I always find a stick when I go to a country that has mongrel dogs and has a lot of potential sociopathic activity. And I don't want to criticize any country in the world for having poverty leading to sociopathy. That's not the goal. It's just when there is sociopathy and when there is potential aggression or people wanting something that you have, having a stick is an amazing thing. Yeah, you could be yoked and you could be big and you could be scary looking, but if there's 3 people and you have something they want, they're less afraid of you than if you had a stick. So think of the stick, and I've been around mongrel dogs in many countries, and as soon as they see that stick, they know that they can't go for your ankles without having you have the chance to whack them with that stick. They see it, whether they've ever been hit by a stick or not. They look at that stick and they go, that's the person that we don't want to mess with. We're going to go to someone else. So there are a few tips for you this morning. Reprogramming of the system to know that physical movement is the default setting. The idea of being yoked is not the end goal. It has a lot to do with genetics, and it's mostly genetics. Keep them hydrated, especially with hot water, really important. And walk alertly and with awareness, and carry a small stick. So those are some tips that I have for you today. I'm going to get my workout on with my grippy gloves, do my tennis ball rolling on the floor, and I'm going to get that going, and it's probably about 4:04 in the morning, and I'm going to get my movement going and then get back and get some work done, then breakfast, and then dental tourism here in Tijuana, Mexico. Aloha, wishing you all the best in your health, happiness, and wellness, in your mind, body, and spirit. I'm Sifu Slim. Please like and please subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the next video. Aloha. Songo le dio borondongo, borondongo le dio Bernabe, Bernabe le peko muchulanga le dio borondongo, incho lo pie, ke leo.